I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, June 9th to order. Please call the roll.
Alderman Strelchak? Here. Alderman Talaco? Here. Alderman Meyer? Here. Alderman Hancher?
Here.
Alderman Bach?
Here.
Alderman Parrish?
Here.
Alderman Bratt? Here. Alderman Gebhardt?
Here.
And Mayor Nurbin.
Here. First up is approval of the meeting minutes from May 12th. Motion and a second. Any comments, corrections? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. On to two resolutions for discussion, the first of which is Resolution 4293, a resolution approving the following items. A land lease for $1 annually to the Thiensville Mequon Rotary Foundation for the construction of the Rotary Park Playground until June 1st, 2028. And B, a development and donation agreement with the Thiensville Mequon Rotary Foundation for an all-user inclusive playground at Rotary Park. So here this evening are a few representatives from the foundation who will give us an overview of what's been happening since we approved the memorandum of understanding about 2 years ago. It could be off a month or two here or there, but catch us up, Sandy.
Okay, I'm Sandy Custer, and I'm with a whole bunch of Rotarians here that have been involved with this project for quite a time. We're really excited to be here tonight to talk about our project. The idea for this project originally came from John Worth, and then COVID came along and intervened and slowed things down. But we've been actively working on this project for over 3 years, visiting many parks around Wisconsin and doing a feasibility study in the community. That study told us that we could make this happen. We researched designers, equipment providers, fundraising help, and construction firms and put together a team. With the help of the team, we established a plan and determined a $4.5 million goal for fundraising. Of that number, $4 million is for the equipment, planning, and construction of the project, and $500,000 is for an endowment for future changes and maintenance. At this point, we have cash and pledges for about 75% of the $4 million construction costs. We are almost done with the quiet phase of our fundraising, and in the next few months, we plan on beginning our community fundraising campaign. To step off that campaign, we are planning a playground awareness event at the park on August 15th. We want people to know that this area is for the community to gather and play for old and young, regardless of abilities. We will be providing a new restroom in the Rotary Pavilion, accessible for all. If we get the approvals that we are asking for tonight, we will be ready to finalize and sign contracts and plan for groundbreaking. Once we order the equipment, production takes about a year with the hope of a ribbon cutting in the third or fourth quarter next year. From the start, the city staff has been wonderful to work with. About 18 months ago, you gave us the go-ahead for this project. And while much of our time has been a learning process, we are very pleased to be where we are right now. Thank you for your time and your interests.
Okay, thanks for that brief overview of where you've been. I think we're going to transition to staff now and talk about the documents and agreements. Unless anyone has any questions for the Rotarians, that would be a good time to address those before we get much farther. All right, take it away, Kristen.
Good evening. Tonight is the next step in a series of approvals for the Rotary Playground project. Before you this evening are a land lease, which is what allows us to let Rotary use the land to build the playground, at the end of which they will donate and dedicate that playground back to the city. And then the donation and development agreement, which is a variation of our standard agreement we use as private funding for public projects and allows them to not follow all of our financial policies, to be able to secure their own contractor and their own materials and services and everything without following all of the city policies. So those are two documents that are before you tonight. The playground will subsequently go before the Park and Open Space Board and the Planning Commission for building and site and conditional use grant grant approval. And when Rotary is ready, then the master sign plan will also go through Planning Commission for approval. There are in the documents a series of exceptions to the naming rights policy that are acknowledged, again, given some of the fundraising efforts that have been completed to date. And the Park and Open Space Board already unanimously recommended approval of the documents, and it is then further before the Committee of the Whole for consideration this evening with action by the Common Council on the subsequent agenda.
Fantastic. Any question from the committee? Questions, comments? I'll make a comment. Thank you for doing this project. It's going to be a wonderful addition to the city once it gets in the ground. And I know you've been working at it for a long time and everyone wants to see it move forward, but it'll be a great addition to Rotary Park and replace some much needed, some playground equipment, much need of replacement. It was used when we put it in, as a matter of fact. I think I saw a question over here from Alderman Parrish.
Yeah, originally, well, first of all, thank you for coming back. The progress you've made is astounding. The whole council appreciates the leadership of the Rotary Club, and don't take our lack of questions and such as lack of enthusiasm. We're all deeply on board with this project. I'm personally donating. I know there's a large fundraising underway. 75% of the total amount raised is incredible, and just shows the type of community support that's out there for various projects. So that's good for us to see as well. That was actually what I was going to say, and then you started talking about naming rights, and then it will be donated to the city eventually. So I was just curious how that will work, so that the Rotary Club will sell the naming rights to fund the project, and then the city will essentially agree to those naming rights in perpetuity, and I think there's some kind of agreement we're giving to that by approving tonight as well.
Correct. The documents include where there are exceptions. So an example is the naming rights policy has that the name of the amenity would be different than the name of the park. So one of the exceptions would be this is Rotary Park Playground at Rotary Park. So we've outlined some of those exceptions to the naming rights policy that have been requested by Rotary that are accommodated in the documents that are before you tonight. And then, yes, they have put together, if you are not aware, whoops, sorry, wrong one. There's a booklet for donations that they have put together to provide for some of those larger structures and how they will be identified with either plaques or donor walls or stanchions. And that is where we have conceptually agreed for them to be able to sell those naming rights, or I should say before you is the consideration for you to bestow those rights to Rotary for those. We'll just need the final master sign plan to come back so that we can go through the approval process for the actual plaques, stanchion, donor walls. But those will be administered at either a planning commission level for a master site plan or a staff level for the signs themselves.
Thank you.
Alderman Strelchak.
Yeah, I've got some familiar faces here in the room, and I just wanted to invite anybody watching from home just to look at the screen, and you can see what the concept plan looks like. This is a true gift to the community, and the amount of fundraising and the amount of community engagement that's come from that park over the years definitely is not overlooked by us, but shouldn't be overlooked by other people as well. So I just did want to take a moment to pause and commend you for the really hard work, the foresight, and the vision to help out and make this park, Class A, standard, absolutely gorgeous facility moving forward. So thank you again for everything that you guys have done, and thank you for everything that you're doing. Much appreciated.
Alderman Hancher.
This project. In a prior life, I was a general and special education teacher. And when I first started teaching, projects like this weren't even thought about. Kids with special needs and disabilities, they weren't thought of. And it was when I was first started teaching, I had kids in wheelchairs. They couldn't even get into the playground because there were steps and obstacles for them. So something like this, for families that do have children with disabilities that are excluded in some parks, this is like it's a miracle for them because of the fact that they can go to a place with their children and just like everybody else. And you don't realize how of a feeling that is for these families. And I've got, when I taught for 33 years, I always worked with special needs kids and working with the parents, and that's one of the things that they wanted their kids to be a part of the community. And at that time, when I started teaching, they weren't, because of the fact that they were excluded for a lot, because it wasn't built for them. So something like this sends a big message to the city of Mequon and the community that we value every citizen, every person in the city. So I want to thank you for this project, and what a great addition to the city it is. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions related to these items? Alderman Bratt.
Yeah, so again, I want to echo the thanks from my colleagues here. And I do want to lift up a couple things. First, I think where we are with the fundraising, it's very difficult to get to this spot for this large of a project. So I want to sort of stress how important it is that we have the Rotary leading the charge on this, because a lot of groups really struggle. You come with a dream, and getting the funding to fund these assets, it's really hard. And then secondly, maintaining this sort of surfacing is very expensive, and the Rotary Club has put a maintenance fund in this. So this is really important both for today and then maintaining for tomorrow. So kudos. Thanks.
Any other comments or perhaps a recommendation?
Recommend to move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? I'll just add that, the model used for the naming rights might be something this body wants to pay attention to as we seek to fundraise for our own projects in the future. We have a pretty restrictive naming rights policy, something that eases up on that a little bit might help generate some funds, because people give a lot of money. They tend to like to see their name on something. So that's not a policy decision we're making across the board tonight, but I think we should, consider a change in the near future as we try to execute our own plans. If there are no other comments or questions, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of recommending this goes on to council, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? On the council it goes. Where I think the result will be very similar because it's the same people voting. Thank you. Hey, just because it's in your district. All right. Moving on to Resolution 4294, a resolution awarding a contract for the Mequon Commons Phase 1 Design and Development Plan to Williams Architects of North Bay, Wisconsin, in the amount of $180,325. Director Lundeen's going to give us a little overview of this item.
With the mayor's transition regarding what could be some additional funds expended in the future, before you tonight is the contract award for the Phase 1 design and development plans. The intent of the contract is to bring you the options so that at a future meeting, you can make the determination on the amenities to be included in Phase 1, which, as a reminder, geographically is kind of the north edge of the pool, west towards the baseball field, east on Cedarburg Road, and then includes the plaza to make the entrance to City Hall ADA accessible. So the contract before you tonight is to award to the team of architects, engineers, and pool designers that will bring to you 3 tiers of options for your consideration as we move forward towards construction documents. So those, again, tiered plans will be before you with varying degrees of construction and operation costs so that you can go through the selection process for those amenities to ultimately determine what will be built as a part of phase 1. I should say we had great interest in the project. We initially included over 101 email addresses. We had 19 people at the pre-proposal meeting representing 15 firms, ultimately receiving 7 proposals that represent 27 firms that were interested in the project.
Much unlike our police department server we talked about just a few minutes ago. Finance and personnel.
I may be biased, but this may be a little more exciting to talk about. So
certainly more exciting than a small server. Any questions from the committee for staff? Or a recommendation if we're all good with what's been done?
I'll move approval of Resolution 4294.
Motion and a second. Any last comments, questions, or all just ready to get going on the pool, I take it? All right. Alderman Gebhardt.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a quick question here. I wanted to have a little bit of conversation because I think it's important as we go down this road. I wanted to understand what the expectation is in terms of establishing requirements for pool operations, right? So as I think about it and we again move down this road, what's that going to do to our operating budget, right? It's a big component for me. So I was curious in terms of how you set the stage with that or what the expectations are in terms of what we're going to get back with that.
So each of the 3 tiered plans will come with the operation and maintenance budget impact. So both from the revenue standpoint in terms of the projection of use based on the amenities that are included and the subsequent budget associated with it. So in addition to that initial construction cost, and many of you heard from me at the long range financial planning discussion that I am also concerned about the operating costs moving forward. So obviously, different amenities at the pool, for example, can impact the statutorily required number of lifeguards. So for each of those tiered options, as you consider which elements, which size, which other aspects of the plan to include, there will be those associated operation and maintenance costs and revenues. And we can compare that to what our current budget is as it relates. It's no surprise to anyone that municipal pools operate at a deficit. So we know what the operating deficit is for the Mequon Community Pool as we operate it today. And we can then compare those tiered options to that operating deficit so that you have that information to make your decision as we move forward.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, or feedback for staff? Hearing and seeing none. Alderman Meyer.
Was, does the 15% contingency seem a little high? I mean, I think the normal is, around 10% that they're doing. The 15 seems a little bit robust, let's say, to me for that.
I think we had this discussion the last time I was before you last month. So we have made our recommendation. You are the decision-making body. If 10% is a number that you are more comfortable with, either way, we will endeavor to stay within the contract award amount. We're just, as we're moving forward, expecting that there may be some additional requests by the Common Council for deeper dive into data or additional information as we move forward with the project. We do have a pretty tight timeline with the goal of being able to hit some critical construction points. So that's what led to the recommendation of the 15%. But obviously that's a part of your decision-making authority before you this evening.
Yeah, that one's there to cover our impact of the process, which, the pool's gotten a lot of discussion over the whole phase of pre-planning with Mequon Commons, and I guess staff's anticipating we'll continue to provide lots of feedback. So as always, they try to stick within the contract limit, but even with the Lakota group, we had an additive item, I think last month, where we had to give them another $10,000 to cover the unanticipated length of which it took to finish because we kept on making comments, and that's fine. We're going to get a better plan for it, but we're in charge. We impact that number quite directly. So whatever the committee wants to land on for contingency, staff will always try to stay within the budgeted limit, and if we go over, we'll go over, and if we really go over, we'll have to come back and amend it. So with that, someone could make a motion and propose to do it as proposed or amend it. So approve as presented with the modification of 10% contingency.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, please call the roll. As presented with the amendment to make the contingency 10%. Well, I clarified if he meant to approve it with the following amendment, and he indicated the affirmative. So was the seconding based off that assumption, that it was approval with the condition of changing the contingency to 10%?
I was.
Okay. I asked him a clarifying question. He indicated I was correct. Did I not? If not, he can.
I'm not the attorney, I'm not sure.
If not, we can make the motion over again.
Point just being that Alderman Bach made the motion to approve. This is a motion to amend. You need to vote on that motion
We
first.
get a second, though?
You did.
Oh, well, we did. Okay. Well, we have two motions on the floor then.
Right, so you need to,
So who motioned and seconded the first time?
I have Alderman Bach and Alderman Brad as the second.
Okay. Well, we can. No, we can. Okay, then Alderman Meyer's proposing an amendment. We'll just vote on the amendment then, that's fine. Okay, we'll keep it simple. We don't have to make it too complicated. So we have a motion and a second for just the amendment to change the contingency from 15 to 10%. Please call the roll.
Alderman Stralchuk?
Aye.
Alderman Talaco? Aye. Alderman Meyer? Aye. Alderman Hancher?
No.
Alderman Bach?
Aye.
Alderman Parrish?
Aye.
Alderman Bratt?
No?
Alderman Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mayor Nervin?
No. I lost, but that's fine. Now we have the motion on the floor to approve as we just amended, correct? Okay, so approval as we just amended with 10%. Any further discussion before we call the vote? Hearing and seeing none, let's call the roll again. That was fun.
Alderman Talaco? Alderman Meyer? Aye. Alderman Hancher?
Aye.
Alderman Bach?
Aye.
Alderman Parrish?
Aye.
Alderman Bratt?
Aye.
Alderman Gebhardt?
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk?
Aye.
And Mayor Nervin?
Aye. All right. Those are our two resolution items. We have finally have time to talk about the planning or the committee of the whole planning calendar, which usually gets skipped because we're out of time at the end of the meeting. But on packet page 38, you can see the look ahead for where we've been and where we're going over the coming months. I guess the look ahead is on page 39 for July through the end of the year. So you can see in July, we have speed deterrence and Port Washington Road rezoning coming back. And other items. Is there anything here you think is missing, you'd like added, like rearranged in order? Oh, Alderman Talaco.
I was just going to make the suggestion to maybe add naming rights to it.
It's September.
Well, that could be a whole nother, that could be a whole nother discussion. Why don't we find time to put it in there? Naming rights related to potential future fundraising.
And just to clarify, you do allow naming, the naming rights policy does allow naming right. Okay.
We think we just want to revisit it, just to see if we need to ease up a little bit. Administrator Jones.
So Mayor, it was mentioned earlier, we had our long-range financial planning workshop last Thursday. By last count, I think we went just over 6 hours. And there was a lot discussed as this packet was actually being posted to the website. This planning calendar is a little bit of a chalkboard. Things get added, things get erased. And based on some of the conversation that we had at the workshop last Thursday, I think things are going to continue to get moved around a little here. There's interest in moving the long-range financial plan forward, as we discussed towards the tail end of the budget. And pending the readiness of some of the items listed for July, August, and September, we may be working forward on that long-range financial plan during some upcoming committee of the whole meetings. So I just want to caution the council as gathered here tonight that this will continue to move. What I can guarantee you is that anything you bring up at a meeting here like tonight, or through email or through conversation at any time, will get added to this calendar. We have a kind of a catch-all bucket at the bottom of the document, which lists future other policy items for discussion, consideration, analysis. Nothing drops off this list until you say that it does. We may not get to it immediately, but if you have ideas, we're happy to keep it on this document until directed otherwise. So I just offer that little caveat as we continue to focus on long-range financial planning, capital funding for our facilities, and sooner than we know it, we're going to be into budget as well. So thank you.
That's an important point. We can choose to have some discussions on priority in this format. Although we have a rare opportunity where we have extended time, we can talk about this. But we don't have to use it either. We can take a break if we want. But happy to take anyone's feedback on these items, potential prioritization of the items, things we think are missing. Alderman Parrish.
I don't think we'll be talking about Port Washington Road rezoning next month. So we definitely have something else to put there.
I think Will's already got something penciled in his head based off of conversations we had this morning related to the long-range financial planning. So certainly we've got much to get through on that front. And those things will probably get front-loaded in July and August, and some of these other items might shuffle around a little bit. Everyone good with this list? We can always entertain a motion to adjourn if we are done with the planning calendar for the Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.